What is going on, baseball fans? Welcome to episode 6 of Baseball as Intended. Jayo here alongside John. John, hi. Happy March. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. It feels like summer. It
Yeah.
feels like summer. It's almost a little too early for that, but I've been working around the house, cleaning out the garage, spring cleaning. Like, if it gets cold again, I'm gonna be just thrown for a loop because I've transitioned to summer officially
You say this as you wear a hoodie, number one. Number two, are
because I
you
got the AC on.
are you 73? How old are you?
What does that have to do with anything?
You sound old. Like, oh, I'm just doing spring cleaning and all this. Like, anyways.
Sorry for taking care of my house.
No, you take care of your house. That's
I,
fine.
yeah.
You have every right to take care of your house, and I have every right to call you old if you say that.
But you're wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah.
It's spring cleaning. It's spring cleaning.
Okay, well, hope you're having fun with spring cleaning. But talking about spring training, I know that's what I've been doing. I've been watching spring training baseball. There's a lot of baseball going on. There is some good baseball going on. Some iffy baseball. A lot of talk about the pitch timer, the shift now. The new thing is that the outfielders are shifting and not the infielders. We gotta expect MLB to come in and step in, right? At some point, it'd probably be like, hey, you know what, left fielder, you stay on that side of the outfield. Only the center fielder can move, something like that. Because the whole point of this was to not have somebody in shallow right field, right?
Yeah, like on one hand, I want to give teams credit for this is the analytics department just working. On the other hand, I'm like, guys, we know why they outlawed the shift. Just stop. Soon they're gonna have these guys with shock collars on, and if you go out of position, the players are gonna get zapped. I don't know what to think because then I do see, like we saw it. I guess the big example was Joey Gallo, right? They shifted the outfielders. And I'm like, come on, poor Joey. But then I'm like, Joey, hit it down the line, get yourself a triple, which he cannot do. But
because the ball comes in at 100 miles an hour. Like, it's very tough to do.
Correct. So. And the pitchers are experimenting with stuff too. Scherzer was just out of his mind. I mean, he was doing,
he's having a blast.
This is a dream come true for Max Scherzer. So it's interesting. I don't think there's any rule changes coming, anytime soon. They'll play this year, I think, to see how it goes. And then if they have to make adjustments, I don't know that teams will do that shift too much with the outfield because I guess it depends on the spot, right? Because you hit it down that left field line, you're running for a long time. I don't think you could do that with guys on base and things like that.
I mean, I think I don't expect MLB to come in and change the rules before, during the middle of the season. That's not going to happen. But that's something that they're going to start looking at. Probably the minor leaguers where, like, these are the rules. Let's just not try to, we're not breaking the rules. We're just bending them. MLB teams are going to try to bend it as much as they can. The other clip was the Wandy Peralta who got a strikeout 20 seconds. Let me ask you, what was the hitter doing? Why was the hitter rushing? If the pitcher is there, you have to be ready when there's 8 seconds. Why are you rushing and be like, there's 13 seconds left on the timer?
I didn't understand that because you get a timeout, right? Per at bat as well.
Yeah.
And this guy was just like, he's ready. I got to be ready. Like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Play the game back to him, right? But I guess that's something that will come, in time. Yeah. But 20 seconds is absurd, I absurd. I saw a video where they showed, I forget who it was, that at bat took less time than like one pitch.
Yeah.
In a playoff game. It was.
I love seeing
the side by side. Yeah, I don't remember who it was, but I know I saw that, and it was like, wow.
I love seeing the side by sides comparing like last year to this year, how long it took. There was another clip of there was a pitcher who wasn't in the ready, and then the hitter wasn't ready. So as soon as the pitcher came on, it got there, and it's like, oh, there's a strike. It's like, dude, the pitcher wasn't even there. Why are you penalizing the hitter? Why is the hitter going to stand there and be ready when the pitcher is not even ready? So there's still going to be some things, because then, that's advantage pitchers again. And obviously we want to move. We want offense and all that. But again, it's spring training. They're going to make adjustments, but there are always going to be some ups and downs. I just hope none of these rule changes affect like a big play, like for a playoff, because that's what it's gonna be like. It's gonna
It
break the
better
internet.
not.
It's gonna break the
It
internet.
better not. You cannot decide like a decision, like a division, title or a wild card spot based on who was in. I don't care if it's technically right or not.
But it's happening.
I'm already.
You know it's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna
It's
happen.
only a
Yeah,
matter
it's
of
gonna make me
time.
sick. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the WBC because we are just a day away from the first game of the WBC, which Cuba, your country, your second country,
Mi
gonna be
patria, yes.
gonna be playing that first WBC game. Obviously excited about the WBC, but we talked about the rosters a couple episodes back, and not all rosters are gonna be the same. I got my notes here. We got Vladdy, big name, out for the Dominican Republic. Jamer Candelario is gonna step in for Vladdy over there at the Dominican Republic. So that's a big hit for them, especially the way he's been swinging the bat in spring training. We got Seiya Suzuki out for Team Japan. They can probably make that up. Japan is
Yeah,
stacked
but I
as
mean,
well.
it is a big hit for
But
them,
it is
right?
a big
As well.
hit.
Yeah.
And another big hit is Jose Miranda for Team Puerto Rico. Obviously, Minnesota Twin. He was going to play third base for Carlos Correa, who's a Minnesota Twin and cannot play either. So no Minnesota Twin is going to be there. I mean, Miranda, after he got, I guess they told him you cannot play for Team Puerto Rico. Spring training, he hit 2 home runs. He seemed healthy, if you ask me, but that's a big hit for Team Puerto Rico. Now, obviously, we know Team DR and Team Japan are teams that can probably take that hit. I think out of these 3, Team Puerto Rico is probably the one that's suffering the most, and it hurts me to say. But
You're fired up about it.
I am
gotta
so
say,
ready.
You are not understanding at all about why not everyone is playing for Team Puerto Rico.
I feel like everyone should play for their teams, but it's also like I understand it's also March, and it's also like when you feel a little tightness in your shoulder, it's like, whoa, take a day or 2.
Right.
I'm not gonna send you there. We know, Alex Verdugo is gonna be playing for Team Mexico. He's hitting 714 in spring training or whatever it is, but he's had to ramp up his workouts and all that a little bit faster and sooner than before. But I don't know. It's the same for all. Every team is having some players, not that's not going to be playing. But what are your initial thoughts about this? Other than maybe spring training is not the best time for the WBC.
Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, I'm like you. I know the reasonable part of my brain is like, I get it. They're gonna take a couple days off. But the part of me that loves the WBC is like, take a couple of days off, stay with the team. When you feel better, get back out there for the next round. I know that's not the right answer, but you and me just happen to love the WBC. And I think a lot of people do as well, but it's tough. I think, everyone had the DR as the favorites in this, and I know that they are the kind of the small betting favorites. It's right there with the USA. It does change their lineup a bit. It does. I mean, Vladdy's a big part of the reason that we were saying this is the best lineup ever, because everyone was that good. They obviously still have a daunting lineup. I don't know. I don't know who I would pick right now. I think the U.S. could very easily be the favorites in this. It does hurt the DR. It's all about, like I've said over and over, lengthening those lineups in the WBC. So I think it's interesting for all the teams. I think for Puerto Rico as well, it really hurts you guys, because you guys went from having Correa over there and one of the best left sides of the infields to just feeling like, man, we don't really have the team that we envisioned, Yeah. And that's a crappy feeling, because the next chance you get is 4 years from now. But either way, I'm excited. 2 days from now, it starts. Whatever the rosters are, you go in with who you have, and I'm ready. I'm going to be up at 11 o'clock. Cuba, Netherlands. I'm going to be exhausted at work the next day. I don't care.
It's going to be so worth it. I mean, but again, to that point also, for Team USA, we talked about Team USA, their weakest link is pitching. Kershaw is out, right? We haven't mentioned Kershaw. Kershaw is going to be out for them. Obviously, a 35-year-old Kershaw, which we're going to be talking about them in just a minute as the NL West preview. But that takes a hit for the USA as well. It's just, again, every team is no team is going with the full roster that was announced a couple of weeks ago. So it is what it is. We're still excited about it. Next week, Obviously, the episode for next week, we usually release them on Monday. I'm going to be down in Miami to go to. I'm going to Puerto Rico, Nicaragua on Saturday, and I'm going to Puerto Rico, Venezuela on Sunday. That's going to be electric. I hope that I go in or I come out with Puerto Rico 2-0 because that's two big wins. Obviously, every single game is huge, but that means our content might be a little delayed for half a day or maybe a day. So stay tuned to that. But I am so excited. I haven't even been to Marlins. I haven't been to that stadium yet. So that's another stadium that I would like to check off. It's very nice, obviously newer. But just the atmosphere of the WBC is unlike any other. So the fact that I'm going to two games, like 2 months ago, I wasn't going to any games, and then all of a sudden I'm going to two in 1 weekend on back-to-back days. So, yay!
In the best group, you know,
a group of death, right? Pool D. Yeah. That's what everybody calls them. And I wanted to see DR, but then again, I won't be there. I won't be there when they play Puerto Rico. I don't. If I get a ticket to go, I'll go and watch them. But there's no Vladdy, no Jose Ramirez. You know, there's Cano and Jamer Candelario. It's a little bit of a, it's not the same. But
it's
again,
big, yeah.
I'm going to watch big my country, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, I'm excited also about the 2023 season. So we got to talk. We already did last week about the AL West. We did a preview.
Yes.
We went team by team, over on their wins, and talk a little bit about each team. And that's exactly what we're going to do this week. We're going to start with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Obviously, their over-under is at, 96.5 wins. They won 111 last year. What do you got? Over-under for the Dodgers.
Did the Dodgers get complacent, or is this their plan? Because they let the Turners go. And I understand that they still have a good lineup. And I understand that they're still the Dodgers and they're expected to win. What did they win last year? 111 games?
That's a lot of games, yes.
That's a lot of games. I have them under 96.5, to be honest with you. And I think they're a very good team. I think, like, you look at their rotation now. Obviously, you have Kershaw and Urias, but you also have Syndergaard and May as the 4 and 5, which is pretty solid, I think, right? It depends how it all kind of shakes out. There's no guarantees. But I feel like I don't want to say they got complacent because I think there's free agents on the horizon that they're looking, to get. And they're just going to, like we've said, with some teams, they're just going to ride this year out, kind of keep the core intact and then go forward. Obviously, they have some heavy hitters, at the top of the lineup. They have Freddie Freeman. They have Mookie Betts. I think they're in for a lot of competition this year. And I think they're under the 96.5. I mean, but that's a big difference from last year. Like, I'm scared to say it. It's almost 15 games. I'm scared to say it, but what do you think?
I got the Dodgers going under. And they are not the same team as last year. They won 111, but they are not the same team. You talk about Trey Turner. He's gone to Philadelphia. You got, obviously, the Justin Turner, he seemed like a good dugout or, good clubhouse guy, right? Like, he was one of those veteran guys that helped that ball club a lot. He's off to Boston. Hopefully he can do some things there. They lost Bellinger. Obviously, he was struggling, but he was a piece there. Chris Martin, Joey Gallo is gone. Edwin Rios. Like, we can go on and on about all the players that are gone. And they have basically a brand new team. Obviously, their core of Mookie, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, I guess, is still there. But there's still some question marks. You bring in J.D. Martinez, a veteran guy, yes.
Yes.
But how much does he have left in the tank? You got Kershaw, another one, 35 years old now. Back-to-back seasons pitching 120 innings. He hasn't pitched 200 innings. It's not 2013, 2014, 2015. So you can't count on Kershaw to give you 200-plus innings. Walker Buehler is hurt, right? I don't know if he's out for the entire year or not, but he's a big piece in that rotation. Julio Urias is a solid one, but, like, you lost Tyler Anderson, who was a Cy Young candidate last year for you. That's a big loss. Bullpen is still solid with a couple pieces there. Obviously, with Evan Phillips coming up and having a good year last year. But I got to go under. I think, 96.5 is still a lot of games.
A lot.
But 111 was a lot as well.
Do you see them losing? Did they lose that many games in the players they lost, right?
And I think they did. I mean,
think they
Trey
did.
Turner is a big one. Instead of Trey Turner, your shortstop is going to be Miguel Rojas. I mean,
So they didn't replace Trey Turner, basically.
nothing.
That's how I thought of it. They didn't really replace him.
And Cody Bellinger is out, and they basically exchanged outfielders with the Cubs. They brought in Jason Hayward. They're telling him not to rest the bat in the shoulder, raise it up a bit. He looks good in spring training. Maybe they know something we don't. Trace Thompson is going to be a starting center fielder, which he doesn't have a large sample size, and he's 32 years old. I don't know. That doesn't sound like the 111 Dodgers from last year. And aside from that, we're going to be talking about them in a second, but the San Diego Padres spent $1 billion this offseason to get better.
Yes.
So San Diego Padres is looking at 2023, feels like, and the Dodgers are looking past 2023. I don't know.
I think you're absolutely right. I think the Dodgers are counting on they have a winning culture, right? You can't say that they don't. They have a winning culture right now. The guys know how to win. They still have a lot of the pieces, and they're just saying, let's just see what we do this year, And I think if you told them you're going to be under 96, you're going to be at 94, 93, they'd say, okay. And then we'll reload against next year. So I can't fault them for it, but this year, I don't think they have the team. I mean, once you're over 96, you're talking about, again, being potentially a 100-win team. And I just don't think they have that in them this year, but they're still obviously going to be very, very good. It wouldn't surprise me if they go crazy again. I just don't expect it.
Yeah, and again, they can win 90 games. They can win the division with 94, right? And still be under 96. So that definitely, a possibility as well. I just think they took a step back at 15 games. Like you mentioned, it is a big gap between last year and this year, but it's a brand new team. It's still a brand new team. So I don't know. Obviously with this, we have to switch over and talk about the San Diego Padres, because the San Diego Padres, they won 89 games last year, and their over-under is at 93.5. Now, obviously, they make some changes and additions. They made some big additions this offseason and spend a lot of money. Will that get them over that 93.5, though?
It felt like and I got a firsthand look at it watching them in the playoffs, but it felt like they started really meshing towards the end of last year. I mean, it's still a high number. I have to say, yes, they're going over. I can't. They spent the money. They spent it well. Their lineup is just completely stacked. They have a very strong top three in the rotation. I know Musgrove right now, his availability is a little bit in question, but, it's not supposed to be something huge. So when he comes back, they've got a good top three with a vaunted potentially best lineup in the big leagues. I'm going to take over 93 there every single time. And if they don't, okay, I was wrong. But I cannot bet against them there. I mean, I think they have the potential to be, a 100-win team personally. And we'll see. Tatis is going to come back. He already dropped the ball in right field, in spring training. But it doesn't matter, because I don't think that's going to happen often. And I don't think that's what, if he goes out there and mashes at the plate, he doesn't have to be a Gold Glove right fielder, So I love their team, to be honest. I don't like getting behind these teams that just paid a bunch of money, but they paid a bunch of money and they got a loaded roster. Don't say what you're going to say.
What's your favorite team?
The New York Mets.
Oh, okay. Who spent more than the Mets?
A lot of homegrown talent.
Okay, you talk about spending money. It's like the Mets spent a lot of money. I know what you're saying.
I want to defend myself.
Okay.
My thing is, you can't win it on paper just by, big contracts. But I love how they spent the money. Like, I love everyone that the Padres have. I can't go under that number. They're going over.
So they did sign a couple guys, right? Obviously, Bogarts got $300 million. They brought back Darvish. Machado got extended as well. But at least they brought a new guy. The Mets, they brought in Nemo, Edwin Diaz. They brought the same guys. They wanted Correa. They should have brought in Correa. I'm still on that.
We brought in Verlander.
Let's focus. Yeah, and lost DeGrom. But let's focus on the Padres, which is what we're talking about, right? And I got them over as well. Obviously, this means that I have them winning the division. I hate the fact that I'm agreeing with you. I just think they're just better, right? Like the Dodgers, it feels like they got a lot worse. They can still win 90 games. That's how good they were last year, obviously.
Right.
But the Padres won 89. And it's only a 4-win differential from 2022 to 2023. And they're better than 4 games. Obviously,
Yes.
Fernando Tatis won't be back until April 20th. That's gonna be, how he's gonna fit in. I expect him maybe a little bit of a slower start until he gets kind of like acclimated again.
Right.
He hasn't played in a while, but people tend to forget how good Fernando Tatis was. Like, he was the best shortstop in baseball. Like, immediately as soon as he stepped foot in the diamond. Again, he's not going to play shortstop, but he's still Fernando Tatis. And offensively, you got guys like Tatis, Machado, Juan Soto, Bogarts, Nelson Cruz, Mike Carpenter, that maybe they're going to be DHing as well. Trent Grisham is still a solid option. Great defender over there. So their team is very good. Obviously, they have depth as well. They're just very good 1 through 9. The rotation, we saw Joe Musgrove. Maybe he does some more of that Vaseline in the ears or whatever he got going on in the ears. He had a very good year after, I think he's hurt now. He's going to miss the first few weeks or so of the year. But they still got Yu Darvish. Obviously, they just signed him. Blake Snell, you know what you're getting out of Blake Snell. Bullpen, we talked about Josh Hader. He's a baseball as intended closer. We did the roster. If you missed that, check that out. But we did our roster. Josh Hader is still an elite arm. They got Robert Suarez. I don't know. They don't have any weak areas in their team. It doesn't seem that like they do anyway.
That's a 100-win team. Like, you just named the whole team. That's a 100-win team.
On paper, they are 100%.
On paper, and they also showed, I think, already that, the core of that team, most of those guys, we saw that they can actually be good when it matters. So, yeah, I mean, Vegas usually scares me when they release these over-unders because you're like, they're so accurate. But I feel pretty good about this one. I think they're going, when I say way over, I think they're 96, 97, 98 would not surprise me. That's an easy pick. I don't like you said, we're 2 for 2 with agreeing with each other.
Yeah, I hate the agreeing part. I think it would have been tougher for me. Again, I feel the same way. I feel like very comfortable with this picks. I don't know why. I feel like if it would have been flip-flop with the Dodgers and have the Padres at 96.5 and the Dodgers at 93.5, then I would have been like, wait, okay, this makes a lot of sense. But again, they are the Dodgers. They seem to figure things out that nobody else can. And maybe, San Diego is still going to be one of those like, hey, 90, 93 win teams, and they don't win the division and the Dodgers win it again. But I think we can both agree that it's a 2-team race for the division, correct?
Let me ask you a quick question. Oh, yeah, 100%. 2-team race. Does Juan Soto have that monster year that people are expecting?
Yeah. I mean, Juan Soto is too good. Like, he hit, 250 last year, but his on base was still 400. That tells you that he's still elite. The shift, maybe he's somebody that will, obviously, he can hit it everywhere and anywhere.
Yeah.
But I think, he knows what he's playing for as well. He knows he wants $500 million, at least 400. Yeah. He just saw what Machado got. He knows he's worth probably more than that. He's younger. Yeah, I can see him have an MVP
I think he's going to have an absolutely huge season. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
which is going to help them even more because, again, last year, like you said, he's always got the on-base percentage. He's always dangerous. But there's a very good chance that this year he's better than he was for them last year, which just makes them more dangerous.
Yeah, so we're high on San Diego.
Yeah.
San Francisco Giants. We talked about winners and losers in the offseason, and we mentioned the San Francisco Giants because they were apparently very close to signing Aaron Judge. They didn't get him. They were close to signing Carlos Correa. They didn't get him. But their over-unders at 81.5. They won 81 games last year. What do you got? And I feel like we're going to agree with this, and I hate it.
We're not going to agree. We're not going to agree.
Okay, let's hear it.
Does 81 seem high to you?
It seems very high.
It seems a little high to me, too. I'm going over on the Giants. I started to really look at their roster. I like the pitching. They got Logan Webb, Alex Cobb, Alex Wood. They got Manaea from who used to be over in Oakland. That's a solid, not great. That's a solid rotation. They've got Yastrzemski. They've still got Crawford. They've got some bats. Conforto, everyone seems a little high on Conforto. He's been out of the game for a while. I'm not sure exactly what he's going to do. I mean, potentially that could be a steal of a contract. I think it was a good contract for them to see what they get, but it's not any sort of a lock there. I think their lineup is good enough. I actually do think that they go over just barely. But to me, the most disappointing thing is, and I said this before, I said, San Francisco, it's not your fault. You tried to spend $1 billion. Nobody took your money. They were one superstar away from having a really good team this year. To me, it felt like. I felt like if you put Aaron Judge in that lineup, if you put Correa in that lineup, they were pretty decent. Maybe not just for this year, but they were starting to build something. And I think they hit a roadblock, but I think they overachieve a little bit. I think they're 83, 84 wins this year.
I think if you put Aaron Judge and Carlos Correa on any lineup, they're going to look better, right? So I get what you're saying.
Right.
I get what you're saying. But at the same time, they won 81 last year. They lost Carlos Rodon, which was amazing for them. Obviously, he got paid in New York. Yes. Evan Longoria, older guy, veteran guy, but he was still very good. Brandon Bell, who has been there for what it feels like forever, he's gone. So I'm looking at the pieces that are gone, and who did they replace them with? Like you mentioned, Michael Conforto. Hasn't played baseball in a while. We don't know what to expect there. I like Mitch Haniger a lot, but it feels like it's him, Jock Peterson, which is very hit or miss. You also got Mike Yastrzemski. So it's Haniger. Like, those are the faces of your offense, and I don't think that's great. Pitching-wise, they're okay. They have a solid bullpen. Camilo Doval, one of the best closers in baseball. Yep. I'm not worried about that. That's how they're gonna win games. It's gonna be pitching. They're gonna have to win those 3-2 games. Like, their offense, I don't think it's gonna be lights out by any means. Obviously, Joey Bart, that was their big time prospect. He has to show up. It's time for him to show up. He was the Buster Posey's replacement. He hasn't really done much. But I got to go under because they won 81 last year. I just don't think they're better. And that's what I'm going off by. Aside from that, the Padres got a lot better. The Dodgers are still the Dodgers. I have them better than the Giants, of course. And we still got 2 teams behind the Giants that we're going to be talking about soon. So I just think probably 77, 78 wins for the Giants. And again, very close. And we talked about how every time Vegas gives a team 81.5, it's one of the toughest over-unders to make, over-under predictions to make. Yeah. And with the Giants again, it's one of those same examples, where
we were much more confident with the Padres than on this one.
But I'm glad we disagree because that means one is gonna be right.
I was getting sick of agreeing with you there. But no, that was a tough one to me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so again, I think I like the fact that they try to spend, they just weren't able to, so I'm just going off of that. If they would have gotten one of them, maybe their over-under would have been like an 84, 85. That's how much of an impact those guys like Aaron Judge and Correa have. But I'm going under. And, I'm not as sure as the Padres and Dodgers, just like you. But I'm still going under. Up next, we got the Arizona Diamondbacks. And the Arizona Diamondbacks are a very interesting team. Over-under at 74.5. They won 74 games last year.
Yep.
They made some additions. Did they not get better?
They got better. I love what they did. This is an easy over. This is I'm optimistic on the whole division, which is going to just really kill me because I'm giving overs out left and right. But this is an easy over to me. They added Gurriel. They added Longoria. They added Andrew Chafin. I think Ketel Marte has a better year. They've still got Zach Gallen. They've got 74 wins. Please, they're. Let me not get crazy again. Let me not get crazy again. I think they could be in the 80s. They could be 80, 81. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you. Do you think the Arizona?
Don't ask me anything.
I'm asking you. Do you think the Arizona Diamondbacks end up with a better record than the San Francisco Giants?
I think they do.
That's a long pause. That was a very long pause. You did take the over on the Giants, so that means you have them at least 82 wins. So you expect Arizona to be at least, 8 games better than last year?
Yes.
So
yes. I don't know why Vegas doesn't. I don't know why.
They know things that we don't. We've
agree
always
with me a little bit here because I think that over-under on them was way too low.
I'm not going to agree.
You got me in a corner there with the Giants, but yeah.
I'm not going to agree with you a little bit. I'm going to agree with you a lot. I love this team. Corbin Carroll is electric, like the fastest guy in baseball.
Yes.
He's going to be at the top of the order. He's going to be catching fly balls, hunting fly balls down left and right there. Christian Walker, we talked about Christian Walker. Baseball is intended,
Yes.
team member.
He's our guy.
Gold glove, 30 plus, 40 home runs, whatever. Lourdes Gurriel, you forgot about Kyle Lewis. Kyle Lewis,
Yes.
again, we have to wait and see if he can bounce back, but we've seen the potential. He's still young. He's still 27, 28 years old. Pitching-wise, Zach Gallen, dark horse for the Cy Young. 100% he can win the Cy Young, and I would not be shocked. You got a veteran guy in Madison Bumgarner who, if you think about it, he should be 45, but he's not. He's not 45 years old. He's 33. So I like what they have.
Ready for him to retire any moment now, and I just realized he's
still got 10 years left.
Going strong, yeah.
Their bullpen, like you mentioned, Shavin was a good addition. Mantiply had a very good year as well. So I love what they got going on. I gotta go over with Arizona. They're probably gonna be very fun to watch. I don't know why 74. Like I feel like when I do the over unders, I look at what they got last year and what compare the team from last year to this year.
They're better.
And you're giving them the same over under, but they got better. It feels like they got better, So I don't know. They added Evan Longoria as well. We just mentioned him with the Giants. The Giants lost him. Arizona got him. He's going to be a good piece. He's still got some baseball left there. Not much.
Yeah.
Not the Tampa Bay Raid Evan Longoria, but it's still a good bat to have veteran presence in a very young clubhouse as well.
Yeah, so I don't think he's like a full-on difference maker on his own, right? But I agree with you. He's one of the several good moves that they've made, right? That's how we're kind of looking at it. Like they pieced some good moves together. And yeah, I don't think they go under 74 if they try. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Like if I'm going to be wrong on something this year, it's going to be this one because I am dead. I mean, this would be the one I'm most surprised about because like I'm really, really confident on this.
So this is basically the 8th team we've done projections and over under. This is by far the one that I feel more comfortable with.
Lock.
So I expect them to win 65 games based on that. That's what's going to happen.
Right.
They're going to win 65 games because we're too high on them. But yeah. I'm an Arizona fan. I'm going to be rooting for them. I want them to go over. It's going to be good. Like the top 2 teams, they need some competition. I don't expect it to be from the Giants. I'm not saying I expect Arizona to push for a division title, but
playoffs.
They can talk about. I'm talking about 80 win team. I can see them play or hover around 500. So I don't know. Maybe. Let me calm down real quick. I got a little bit too excited.
Do you hang on? Keep riding that emotional high. You think they're better than the Giants?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I think so. I picked the under for the Giants. I expect the Giants to win like 77, 78 wins. And like I mentioned, Arizona, I expect them to win 80, 81. So that's why it's weird that you pick an over for the Giants and the over for Arizona, and everyone's over.
Arizona, legitimately, one game better than the Giants this year.
One game. Okay. We're gonna come back to this in about 9 months, and it's gonna be very fun.
It's gonna be a disaster.
We got one more team in the NL West. That's the Colorado Rockies. Over under 65.5. They won 68 games last year, and we talked about how the 81.5 over unders are tough. These 60-ish wins over unders are equally as tough.
This is a brutal number. Because I want to be very clear. I don't really think that Colorado is good this year. I think they're bad. And I don't think, we see where the over under is set, right? They're not a good team. But that 65.5 number is tough. I've been handing out overs for the whole division. I'm like Oprah. You get an over, everybody gets an over. I'm going to have to go under on the Rockies, mainly because I picked over on everybody else. So I'm assuming they're beating the Rockies. Chris Bryant, they went out and they got a big contract, and he hasn't done much. Couple home runs. They just signed Moustakas today, which was, he's going to play second base for him. For where they're at, I don't think it's a bad signing. I'm not knocking them for that. Blackman's kind of, he's been there for a long time. I don't know exactly how much he has left. He's always going to be able to produce a little bit in that park. CJ Cron's going to be able to produce a little bit in that park. Other than that, I don't really think that they have very much, to be honest with you. I think they go just under. I mean, again, they're not like a historically bad team or anything like that. But I think they lose a lot, and I think some of these teams in the division are pretty decent, and they're going to struggle going up against them.
Colorado was very tough. It was a great number. Vegas did an amazing job by giving them a 65.5. They won 68 games last year. So it's very tough to say if they were better last year than this year, right? There's not big additions. But I do think that they're better this year because I expect Chris Bryant to play more than 20 games, number one. Number two, like you mentioned, they did bring Mike Moustakas. That's a bat. In Colorado, they can have, that's where people go to have career years, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, their pitching is not as important because they play in Colorado, and their pitching is never going to be their forte. No pitcher want to go play in Colorado because they want to be able to make money, and you make money by having low ERAs and all that good stuff. So they don't have a lot of good pitching. Daniel Bard is a stud over there at the bullpen, but other than that, it's nothing that jumps out at you. Again, Charlie Blackmon is old. He's going to be 37. I think just Chris Bryant. If Chris Bryant gives you 120, 130 games, automatically it's going to be better. CJ Cron it's a stud over at first base. He hits absolute tanks. Again, they're not a team that you look at is like, whoa, but 65.5 is not a number that you look and you go like, whoa, what a high number either.
Yeah.
If they go over, it might be just as last year, in my opinion, like 67, 68. I don't expect them to get into the 70s or anything like that, but I do feel like 65 is under because they were over, last year without Chris Bryant. And that was their big free agent, acquisition a couple years back. So I'm going to take the over on Colorado.
Right, because how do you see them going down if Chris Bryant plays more, in your opinion, right? Everything else you kind of feel is equal. They added Moustakas. To me, I think the division, like I said, I think it got better, which hurts them. And they just, it is a tough number. It is a really, really good number, to be honest with you. But it's a shame for Colorado because they play some fun baseball up there. I mean, they get those couple games a year that are a blast. There's always a big comeback. Feels like they kind of know how to play there. They're used to it. They know they're never out of a game. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the division as a whole? Fun division or no?
I think it's a fun division. My initial thought is that the top two teams are just going to be battling it out for the next decade or so. And it's going to start this year. Well, it started before, but this year is just going to continue on that. I do have, obviously, based on my response of the over and unders, I got the Padres winning, and we're going to go more in depth on that, when we get the season preview for the entire league. But I got the Padres winning the division and taking it. I feel like, they've been kind of like the little brother to the Dodgers for a while, but this time they were like, you know what? We're not so little anymore. We're going to spend money. You're not going to spend as much. So it's our time to shine.
Yeah, I think they took it over. And it's hard to say that. Like I said, I was waiting for the Dodgers to do something. Just get someone to replace Turner, and I was going to be like, well, they're still the Dodgers. They're going to pull it out somehow. But I don't see it. I think the Padres are number one in that division. Well-deserved for them, long overdue. They've been hunting down the Dodgers for years now. I think they catch them this year. They win the division. I think the Dodgers are second there.
You sounded like you just handed them the division. Like, here you go, San Diego. You just won the division. You finally overtook the Dodgers.
Yeah, they did. Based on our predictions, they did. I mean, what do you want me to say?
Well, we want to be right in our predictions, so we're both going to be rooting for San Diego. Obviously, we want to be right there. Yeah. I'm going to be rooting for Arizona. But I don't know. I think it's a fun division. Again, Dodgers and Padres are going to be good for years to come. But I do think Arizona is going to be in the hunt in the next year or two. Maybe not this year, but I do think they take a step in the right direction this year, and I think it's going to be interesting. Now, obviously, with the wild card, extra wild card, you never know what can happen. A big trade can happen. You never know.
Right.
But yeah, I still got Dodgers making the playoffs, of course, via the wild card. But they're not the same old Dodgers from 2022. It doesn't feel like it. So, but that will wrap it up. NL West preview is done. So we're done with the AL West and we're done with the NL West. Some hot takes. Some people will call it hot takes. Not too much, but we're gonna be moving on. Warm takes because spring is almost done. You're ready for summer, Mr. Old Guy. But AL Central is going to be next week. Obviously, we're going to be talking a lot about the WBC because we got the first few games, of the WBC is going to be starting this week. And then obviously AL Central and NL Central, and then we're going to wrap it up with the East. And I think I just walked us off. Do you want to walk us off?
No, I got nothing. That was perfect. I mean, we're about to have competitive, meaningful baseball in 2 days, day and a half, whatever, wherever you are. On Tuesday, there's competitive baseball. I'm fired up. I'm fired up to keep doing the projections, and we're here. It's baseball season, baby.
This has been a lot of fun, and we're going to keep track of it. We're going to have our own spreadsheet that we're going to follow throughout the entire year, and we're going to come back to this and look at it, how stupid predictions, we're going to make some stupid predictions and some right ones. It happens with everyone. It's just how it works. But again, if you enjoy the content on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment down below your, thoughts on the over-under. With every team, you can go ahead and do it. You can keep track as well. Spotify and Apple, make sure to, follow and rate our podcast. We got Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We got it all. But until next time, it's WBC week. So happy WBC week. It's finally here, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.